Hello, I'm Scott with ScottGuitar.com. Today we're going to do a beginner lesson. This is your first lesson as a guitar player. Now if you're intermediate or advanced, I'm sure this is not going to do much for you, but for the beginner, this is the basic tactics that you need for getting started on the guitar. First thing we're going to do is talk about the guitar itself. We're going to talk about the parts. On an acoustic guitar, you've got the body of the guitar. This is where the sound resonates based on the vibration of the strings. The vibration goes into that hole, bounces around, and comes out. That's why you have a sound hole. Back in the back, you have the bridge. Then you have the string pegs. Okay, this is the pick guard. Okay, it's kind of there for aesthetics, for looks, because we're playing pretty much with a plastic pick. But when you rake across it, your guitar, you don't want to damage your guitar. Not that this would really hurt it. And then you've got the neck of the guitar. These bars are known as frets, F-R-E-T-S. And then you have the white dots on this guitar. Some you have abalone, but they're all fret markers. Notice on top of your neck where you have a marker or a dot, you'll have a dot on top of your neck. Down here we're known as, this white guy is the nut. Then the head of the guitar, you got individual guitar tuners. Now what we're going to talk about next is how to hold your pick. The pick is an extension of your first finger. So what we want to do is point the pick right off of the point of the first finger, leaving about half the pick to give you some surface to strike with. On the back half, we're going to put the pad of our thumb. So if I were to pull this pick out, I'm making a little cross. So we're going to insert that. Now notice when you're playing and strumming, your thumb is pointing down the neck. It's the pick that's pointed in. So we never want to do this with our wrist. You're going to start hurting and cramping here. So make sure your wrist is nice and loose and let the pick come towards you, your thumb down the neck. Okay? Now also too, holding the guitar, you want to keep this at least parallel to the floor, maybe up just a little bit. The farther your guitar neck is away from you, the harder it is for your wrist to reach around to play. So keep it at least parallel to the floor. The next thing that I like to do is get into naming the strings, because this is important at every level of your playing. String number 1 is the bottom string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. They each have a name or a pitch that they're tuned to. The first is E. The top is an E. So that's 2 E's. You've got E, B, G, D, A, E. Another way to help you to remember when you're getting started is everybody gets donuts at Eddie's. It's just something to help you to remember for now. You won't be using donuts at Eddie's for long. It just helps you for now. So everybody gets donuts at Eddie's. When you sit down to practice, whether it's 30 minutes a day, an hour every other day, whatever you can work in, the first thing you want to do is name those strings 5 times. The good news is that when you can walk away and come back the next day and name them, and you're not thinking about it or trying to remember, it just rattles right off, then you don't have to do it anymore. Just visit it every now and then. But you'll be glad you did. It comes in handy. The next thing that we want to do is make a note on your guitar. Okay, I'm going here to the top string on the 3rd fret, E string, and I'm picking there. The first thing I want to point out to you here is what we call back fretting. You notice I'm right next to the fret in front of the finger. If I go back in the fret, listen to this. That's called back fretting. So you want to get up next to that fret as close as you can without being on the fret. That would mute the note. Okay? Now what I want you to do is I'm going to give you a finger exercise that's going to help the dexterity in your left hand. I want you to pick that note and leave that first finger down. Play the next note. Leave your first finger down. Play the next note. Leave your first finger down. Play the next note. Now a lot of my students in the beginning have the same issue. It's not with being able to stretch, it's because the thumb is in the wrong place. What I want you to make sure you do is put the thumb on the back of the neck where it comes to around, right in the middle. That allows your hand to be able to swing forward and get in front of the guitar neck. Then I want you to play those 4 notes. Okay? After you play the next note, or the last note, let your pick fall. Let gravity have it to the A string. Let your pick fall to the next string. And so on. This is not a speed exercise. This is simply for the dexterity in your left hand and coordination with your right hand. Okay? Once you do that, then you play backwards. And remember, the point here is to get your fingers to stretch. That's why we're keeping our first finger down when we play in the down position, because we're promoting stretching. Okay? Our hands are built like this. Our fingers like it when they're together, but guitar playing does this. So we need to get our hand familiar with stretching those fingers out and getting them to be where they're independently strong and independently accurate. That's what this finger exercise is going to do. You see all the chords you see people play? Those are made up of individual fingers. By going to what I call a guitar gym, getting your fingers and your hand more accustomed to playing guitar. That's what we have in our hand. Let's get used to it, right? So if you hit that exercise, playing down and back up is one time. You need to hit that a couple of times when you sit down to practice. It's going to help you to develop your chords quicker because you're working your individual fingers. Remember, chords are made up of individual fingers. So let's make sure we work those fingers. Okay? Now, after you do your exercise, the next thing you go to are your basic chords. The chords that you need to learn are A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Then you have A minor, E minor, and D minor. Those are the basic chords you learn in the very beginning. So you need to memorize the chord, and then the next part of the chord is to make that chord sound good. Okay, I'll say that again. Making a chord is 2 parts. Memorize how to make it, and then make it sound good. When you learn a chord in the beginning, I want you to play 1 string at a time. What's that? Just remember, a bad note can hide when you do 1 string at a time. Okay, if you just strum it, a bad chord can hide. So I want you to make sure that you do 1 string at a time. Once you have that clear, then strum. Now you're putting a good D chord, for example, that's what that was, in your ear. Okay? As you're learning how to play these chords, the biggest obstacle you have at this phase is going to be making your chords in 1 move. When we start out, we all build our chords. Making a D chord, for example, 1, 2, 3. Took me 3 moves to make that chord. Your goal, however, is to make that D chord in one move. Okay? So what you can do is practice going to the shape, not the strings. So make sure once you get the shape down, then you set it down on the string. If you're building your chord, and this is why we do this one-step process, if you continue to build your chord as you're playing, a song will just politely run off and leave you behind. And then your guitar is for sale on Craigslist, and then you'll know. So let's go to one move. If you're going from a D to a C, don't go for the string when you're practicing one move. Go for the shape. And then set it down. You can visualize that exercise as well. You're sitting at your desk, taking a break at work, visualize making your chords. So that's going to end your first lesson as a very beginning guitar player. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I'm in contact with my students both on Skype and here in my home studio. So it's been nice to be with you for a while. So feel free to come and visit me at scottguitar.com, and I'm looking forward to hear from you. Thanks.